I'm Paige Anderson. This is my persuasive speech. This is my audience. This speech is titled Loving the Sacrificial Sibling. Can you imagine trying to love something that's going to be gone in an instant? You know that this thing has a higher purpose, so to love it would be difficult. Now imagine you were that thing, that savior sibling. Imagine you were given one purpose despite your refusal, one purpose despite everything you say. Around the world, kids are being born without the pure intention of love, but the underlying intention of usage. The topic of savior siblings, or medicine babies, has been an on and off topic for years due to its ethical and moral issues. I have taken the time to bring together a multitude of research for you, so you may decide which side you are on. Because no good research paper has only one side of its story, so you will get to see both sides of this matter. I have also done numerous debates with my classmates to better understand others' viewpoints to add to my speech. This may not seem like a huge issue for you, considering that most of us aren't at that point in our lives where we are having kids. But it's still something to think about. Our government has no regulations on this issue. In the article, Noble Cause, Savior Siblings for Terminally Ill Children, Elizabeth Anderson states, "In law, there is little being said about savior siblings. As of right now, there are no federal regulations or guidelines concerning them, which has provided the scientific field with an unsupervised platform to do as they see fit. Something as serious as this shouldn't be left up to what someone sees as fit. That's why I'm here to persuade you to speak out against these familiar practices. They not only put a pressure on kids to keep their siblings alive, but also to sacrifice themselves. The families birth their children into an unfair role that they can't say no to. It's time to take a stand. Oh, but I'm only one voice in a crowd of 8.2 billion. My voice won't be heard. On the contrary, it takes 8.2 billion singular voices to make that crowd. When one person speaks up, more follow, until that crowd is all chanting the same thing. Your voice holds so much power. Use it. Go to social media and share your voice. Speak with your friends and family. Start a peaceful protest. You hold as much power as you give yourself." Now, for this speech, I will be going over what a savior sibling is, the supporting side, and the opposing side. Let's start with what savior siblings are. In the article, Savior Siblings, A Battle Between Ethics or Saving Siblings, Ahana Hawk states, "A savior sibling is a younger child who is born to be a medical donor to their older sibling with a fatal disease. So, some circumstances that call for that would be when babies have sickle cell disease, Fanconi anemia, beta thalassemia, and some kinds of leukemia. Most of these just call for bone marrow or cord blood. This is where it gets tricky though. With there being no regulation on this topic, what's stopping a parent from using their child for organs? You might be thinking, a parent would never do that. They love their children. While that is partly true, it's not always the case. If they love their first child enough, they may be willing to sacrifice their second. Another questionable part of this is how a savior sibling is conceived. The embryos are specifically selected for their purpose, which brings another concerning idea into play. What else would parents change about their future kids? And what might start as trying to save a sibling can turn into what is known as a designer baby. And now that you know what a savior sibling is, here's why some people support this matter. The first reason is that there haven't been very many cases of siblings having to give up organs. There's mainly been in bone marrow and cord blood cases, so it's not seen as a bad practice. People consider it an honor for the child to be saving their sibling. They consider the child to be a miracle even. So, some people think that if you just let your child die with no fight, then you don't care enough. But there's a slight problem with that thought process. Let me ask you a rhetorical question. Are you pro-life? The common answer in our area is yes. However, if you are for savior siblings, you aren't always pro-life. In some cases, you are killing a child just so another child will live. Death comes for us all. So why are you trying to shield one child from it, all the while you leave the other child on death's doorstep? Again, most savior siblings live happy lives, but it's still a risk that people willingly choose to take. To risk one child's life for another is unfair for the latter. Now for the opposing side. I'd first like to bring up a source I have. I've listed my other two in the beginning, as well as the first main head. In the article, Savior Siblings and Birthdays, Paige Cunningham says something truly heart-wrenching. As a parent, there's nothing more difficult or helpless than watching your child struggle with a life-threatening illness. We understand why some parents go through great lengths to save the life of their child through any means possible. However, creating children for a medical purpose is always wrong. Miss Cunningham could be more correct. She shows understanding towards a topic as a parent, but she also states it's still wrong. There are two main reasons that make people dislike this type of practice. The first is a child growing up and realizing that they were only born to be someone else's spare parts. This can greatly affect a child's mental health and can cause poor self-worth. For some children, they see it as them being a hero. However, for most children, it's seen as, my parents didn't actually want me, they needed me for my sibling. This also starts to bleed into a whole other topic known as glass children. These are kids who get forgotten because their parents focus a lot of their attention on their ill sibling. This is a topic for another day, though. The other reason why this can be a bad practice is the continuous usage. For some kids, they give something once and that's it. For other kids, they have to keep giving bone marrow, blood, and other stuff to their siblings. They can't help but wonder, am I just a tool? I've told you what a save a sibling is, why people support the practice, and why people like me don't support it. I've shown you all the angles to this ethical and moral dilemma. Now it's time for you to decide. Are you really willing to sign your child up for a job before they're even born? If a baby can't say no to the practice, then we have to. Someone has to be a voice for those who can't. That someone can be you. I spoke earlier about how you can help speak against this practice. Speak up. One voice can change everything. Thank you.